Hi everybody, welcome to Watch These Dice. I am with Mike online. We are ready to make a tutorial regarding Ubi. Hi Mike.
Hi Matt, pleasure to be here.
Thanks a lot. So guys, we thought with Mike, why not do some kind of tutorial regarding Ubi to help you start with Ubi. I know it's not so easy to start with Ubi. All of us who are using Ubi at the moment had some help at some point, so we thought why not do a kind of tutorial, give you some instruction to help you start with Ubi. So with Mike, he prepared some screenshots, and we will do as well at the end a demo, live demo with the key features. I think you should be able to play Ubi after seeing this short video. So Mike, maybe a few words regarding Ubi. What's Ubi, first of all?
Yeah, sure. So Ubi is the perfect answer to coronavirus for players like us who are stuck at home. It is basically a software, a web-based software that you can play either by downloading the software or online that allows you to play against any opponent. It basically provides the normal tools, so a table, rulers, dices, chat, everything you need, pretty much like a shop to play online with anyone. Even with people watching if you want, or privately if you don't want to. It enables you to create armies and to load them on the table, and then several tools to pivot that we will see later in the demo.
Thanks. We have to start a first screenshot. So when you enter Ubi, you will be seeing this basically. So on the south part, you see the recent unit created by the user. Here in the middle, you see all the rooms which are opened with people playing. The room in brown are locked with a password, so you need to know the people who are playing to get the password to be able to enter in the room. So it can be useful if you want to play with somebody and be alone. And then the room in blue, you can join freely the room. If you want to create a new match, you just have to click over there to create a new game, and you will be also able to save games and then load them afterwards. So it might be useful to play a Ubi game in two parts, for example. It might be helpful. And then on the left you have a part which is called the lobby. It's a chat room. Actually, you are able to talk with people, but usually I think people don't use this really much.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone use this.
And then the last interesting button on this page is here. It's the button called Edit Armies. That's where you will be able to modify, to load, to clone, to copy your armies, and just edit them. So we will show you a little bit how it looks like to prepare an army. The next screenshot, here you have an example of an army from Mike, EOS. Maybe Mike, you can tell us a little bit how works this page.
Yes, so you have basically 4 tabs at the top. The first one are the basic characters generated by Ubi itself. I barely ever use it. Then you have the tab that we are in right now. So my armies, as you can see, I have several armies that I've identified here. The one you see is the first one, EOS, but you can create, I believe, any number of armies. I have like 10 and no restrictions so far. So that's pretty good. So I just create this slot, I call it EOS, and then I can either create, as I will show you later, or I will be able to download and clone the models from other people. If I go to the last tab, the little magnifying lens, you can search for any player. So if you click here and say EOS/Kumi, you will find my EOS army, and you will be able to click on the models and clone them. And the last one, the third one, is the star, so you can basically put armies in your favorites, but that's not extremely useful. Then you can set them as default, so when you are in-game, this is the army that will show up from which you can generate the models. Now, if you click on any model, that brings us to the second screen. You will see the model itself, and you will be able to edit several things. So you can choose which base, what's the size of the base. So here I have 2020. You can choose if it's square, round, etc., the color of the base. And then you can add several elements to this base. You can see at the top of the screen, there are several tabs. So you can add monsters, animals, part of them. for that base to represent your models. You can name it in the right part, heavy infantry with sword, and add a little description under the I, the information button, or define it as a terrain element, which will allow you later to lock it. But that doesn't really matter now. What matters is that you can save it and delete it if you don't like it, but most importantly, you can clone. And this clone function is very important because you can use it for other people's miniatures. So you can I could go to Matt's units, click on the same soldier and clone it to then add it to one of my armies, which will save me the time of creating my own models. That's a very, very useful tool.
Maybe something that we can say also under the I button here on the right, I use it very often to write down the build or to write down the effect from the spell and so on. I think it's very useful to, most of the people put directly under this button, directly the special items, special standard and so on, everything that you need to know regarding this particular unit. So
Absolutely.
Meaning that you will need to update it when you change your list.
And you can also do it later on. So if you want to leave it like me completely empty, but then the unit has, for example, a relentless banner or any kind of a specific magic item, when you load the unit, you can add it in the game already right in this information tab.
And the last screen that we have, actually you can really, it's a mod called Model Editor. That's where you can really build your own model and spend a lot of time here if you want to create some amazing model. So you can basically choose each piece of equipment and do something specific, playing with all the colors and everything, the position. So here you see Mike put this kind of sword. He chose here one of the available swords, so you have like 10 possibilities of different swords. Then you can change the color and you can play a little bit with the layer, meaning that the sword can appear on top, so on top of the hand or below the hand. Here it's looking better below the hand, but still on top of the base. And so you can really play a little bit with the layer and so on. So a good idea could be to clone some model who are already made for you, already ready to play with, and then you can just maybe do some kind of customization, like changing the color of the skin or the clothes. Might be a good idea to personalize a little bit your army and feel good while playing it. Okay, Mike, maybe we'll do a short demo of the cloning of an army, if you're okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so we thought it would be useful to show you a little bit how to be battle ready in a few minutes with UB, because people might hear that it's hard to get your army and set it up. It's actually pretty easy. So I'll do this demo right now. So I am now in the main screen, the lobby screen, and I'm going to create a new army. So I'll go, as mentioned before, in the edit army. You're going to see exactly what you saw in the screenshots that we made. Now let's say I started playing Bretonnian, so Kingdom of Aquitaine. So I'll write KOE, hope to be lucky. Yes, and I have this guy who started building it. So I don't like it. I don't think there are enough models. So I'll just go there until I find something decent, and let's agree that this has enough model. Well, obviously it's not the case, but it will be enough for the demo. So now I'll just select this model. And you can see here that I cannot edit his model, obviously, a little bit of intimacy here. But I can definitely clone it, right? So I would clone and add it to any of my armies. Here in this example, I didn't create a new army. I can show you how to do it, but it's not really meaningful. I would just select in my Beast Herd army, which doesn't make much sense, but is good for the example. Then I will clone this one. And once I'm good cloning everything, I can just go back to my BH army, which would be in the KOE in our example, and see that at the bottom I have those two new models that I just copied, cloned from someone else. If I want to make it uniform, because I picked, for example, several models from several people and I still want to give it a little artistic touch, I can still go on the model, and now that it's mine and it's a copy, I can edit it. So I could go on the shape of the sword, and I don't like it. I'd rather have this one, and I'd rather have it angled like this. So here now the model is perfect, and let's face it, green base is 2002. So I'll put it black because it's just better, and I'll save it like this. And we have a Paladin ready to play. So here for 1.5 model, it took me 30 seconds, 1 minute max. For an entire army, I think we can do it in 10, 15 minutes. You have pretty much all the entries you need to play a wide variety of lists.
And maybe what we can show as well while we see your beast army is that you are also able to create some cards and some additional stuff. Maybe you can show your card. That's
Absolutely.
for the totem. I mean, it's also something that you can create from scrap. So you just generate a base and then you can write text. There is as well the possibilities. I think you had to go in various to get the text, right, Mike?
Exactly.
Here you can get the numbers and then the letters, and you can create the spell and do everything you would like.
See, I just created an A here, and I can switch it to B, C, D, E, F, G. And it's pretty easy. I usually add to every army all the specific token-related bonuses. Another good example is the orders from EOS, right? That's a very good example. I usually put the magic spell in a separate section because they're common to all the armies, so I don't want to replicate them in every single army, so I have a specific area for this. But specific army-related tokens are in each army.
And they are extremely useful during the game. I mean, that's the thing that you also use at the table, so you might need it during the game, so think about it. You should also be able to look for some specific models, specific stuff. You can also maybe show an example, Mike, with the loop as well. We can search, for example, for occultism, and then you can directly get the token for spell, for example.
Absolutely.
So that's also something very useful that you can copy directly with the flux and the description, everything you need. You can just copy it in your army.
Exactly. What I usually do, I'm going to show you later when we are in the demo. I'm going to show you a trick that I do to when I create my army to have all my spells ready. But let's discuss that when we move, hopefully soon, to the real life demo of the game.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, and we'll move on now to the one-pager Mike prepared for you with the key features. Okay guys, here that's something to help you that Mike prepared for you. We will put it in the link under the video in the description, and you will be able to print it if you need it during your first game. It might be useful. Here you have basically all the key feature you can use during the game. So maybe let's start from the left, the easiest one, the chat. That's the chat which allows you to discuss with your opponent. You will also be able to see, for example, here the rolls you made. You will be able to see the movement. You will be able to see all the key things happening during the games. Here you can also see who is watching the game, and here you have some settings. Then you have some button below. So maybe the first one is the button plus or minus. You are able to zoom in or zoom out, so you can be really precise during the game. I mean, the level of precision is just amazing. Something completely different to the normal game. You can really go into deep details if you want to. The first button then on the left, the red one, is called Tools. That's basically a tool manager which provides.
I think it's the brown one though, huh?
Yeah, the brown one, sorry. Yeah, the brown one. Basically, you have all the tools you need. You have rulers, which are, you can see here some example. You have here, this ruler is very useful during games because it's adjustable, so you can basically go to unlimited. You see also the angle with the degree, and then you have some predefined ruler. For example, this one is 12-inch. And then you have as well some symbols if you need it, so that's really useful during the game. Mike, maybe you can continue with the second button.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second button is to generate terrain features. It is absolutely necessary, as you know. So we just click on it and see this screen, the red one, appear, and I can select from a wide variety of terrain elements. What I usually do is load maps that players have already created, and we'll show you later how to do that. So you have the reset button if you want to remove all the terrain elements, the save if you want to save this map as a map so other people can use it. You can load a map from other people when they created one, what I usually do 90% of the time. And the lock. The lock button is very important because when you move, when you play, by clicking on it, it fixes the terrain features to the ground. So when you select a unit, you don't take the risk of moving the hill with it, which would be obviously illegal.
And don't forget, if you're playing Sylvan Elf, to unlock it when you want to move your your forest with 3 thinking. Okay, maybe the next button is for the unit. So basically, you should be able, first of all, to change and take the correct army, and then you can generate the unit and see also the formation. That's something that we use very often. Basically, we will show you afterwards how to load your army in one go, so that you don't have to load each individual unit. It will be very useful to be ready to start very quickly. But you can as well, during the game, basically if you have a block of 20 skeleton and you would like to do a conga line, you can just choose column 1, row 20, and then generate very easily a conga line and put it over the old unit, and then delete the old unit when you are ready with your new formation. That's something very useful. And here you have the possibility to choose which element of the command group you would like to add. So here, musician, champion, and the standard. That's really useful to use during the game, because you can generate new unit. If you have lost some casualties or you want to add a character, you can just generate a new unit. And here you have as well the possibility to put them in skirmisher formation.
Yeah, that's definitely very useful, but not very much used, because we'll show later how to load the game. So it is especially for the conga line, very useful feature.
Then the next one is the dice generator. Very easy. You can basically just roll dices. So you can choose the type of dice. If you want, for example, for magic, roll D8, or for impact, maybe a D3, and you can choose the amount. And then if you roll a lot of dice, it will show you directly the number. For example, here with 8 dice, one did roll a 6 up. So that's easy to see how much were okay.
Yeah, and I think ONG players will be very happy with the direction feature of the dice as well, which is basically a scatter dice for the fanatics. I don't know the name of the fanatics in Ninth Age. Night Goblin fanatics thing. They go in the random direction. Yeah. So then you have very useful features around the little tyrant on litter that you see at the top right of the screen. The first one on the left allows you to pivot, basically. You can either pivot from your corner, one of your 2 corners, or from your center. And the bottom on the right, which looks like a little shield, is actually the one that defines if you pivot from the center or from the corner. So you click on it to define corner right, corner left, or center. The trash is obviously a way to delete the model if you don't want it on the map anymore. And finally, the link. We'll show you later how you can link this specific character to its units, meaning that by clicking on it and selecting the unit you want it to be in, it will move along with the unit. So UB considers it as part of the footprint of the unit and allows you to move them together.
Don't forget to unlink when you want to move the character out, or if you want to delete the character on the unit, to avoid him getting lost at some point or moving with the unit when unwanted. And here may be also important to say this button, this shield, at the moment on this position is just showing that if you move this arrow on top or left, it will just make a pivot on its center at the moment. We'll show you also in the live demo how it looks like when you want to pivot. It's basically an arrow, a blue arrow in this direction if you want to pivot to the right, or an arrow, blue arrow in this direction if you want to pivot to the left. Maybe the next button, this one, is just if you can activate or unactivate these 3 buttons. Basically, the first one is showing the footprint. So it's like in green, you see it's a footprint showing the whole footprint. Is very useful to see line of sight and so on. If you can see or not see the unit, that's something that we always keep activate. The second button, very useful, we'll show you as well during the live demo, it shows the distance from one unit to another. So if you click on this model, you will see then some distance to other models, very useful. And you can also be able to see line of sight, flank, and the back. So that's really, really helpful. Also, we use it quite a lot. And then the last one is basically to lock the unit, and the unit will only be able to move either in a straight line, basically. So that's also something that we use very often to move properly your models. If you use then the arrow to make pivot and then the straight line, you will move very, very properly. And then maybe these two buttons, then Mike can add something regarding the magic on the right. But basically here you can save the table at this point of time. That's something that we do quite often, because sometimes, especially at this moment with a lot of people using Ubi, it's quite useful to save the game to avoid losing everything. But basically, if you see that you are having some kind of bug, just try to throw a dice with the dice generator, and if you don't see the result on the left, you are having a bug. So then I would strongly recommend to save the game and leave the room and reconnect again, or just leave Ubi and relog again. And this button, very, very useful, undo moves. Basically it allows you to move back. So if you do like a wheel with the big unit, you're not happy about the movement you do, you can undo each of the movement. Be very careful if in the middle of your movement, like you do a first wheel, then you move in the front, and then you take a ruler, you move the ruler to measure something, you cannot use the undo button afterwards. So be really careful when you want to do some simulation. I would recommend to use some marker to mark the position of the unit. For example, I use this symbol and I put it in the corner of the unit just in case. If I want to do some kind of simulation, just in case that I make something wrong, I take a ruler at the wrong point of time, that I don't lose everything, so that I don't lose the starting position actually. Okay, Mike. Yep. Regarding magic, maybe on the right?
Yeah, so pretty much the same way you saw before that we use tokens, for my BH Army or EOS. I use also tokens for magic. So these, the green ones are thaumaturgy spells. Here I have them all, so that when I load my army, I can then select which one I'm going to use. On the top of the thaumaturgy spell, you have the little veil tokens. There are several of them. I use those ones, but it doesn't really matter as long as you have tokens, just to keep it in mind. And then, I'm sorry, I took very small veil cards, flux cards. But yeah, these are the 8 flux cards. So I would roll a dice to figure out which one I have for this magic phase. And then I just drag it and put it in the corner of the map. So I keep track of all the cards that I have used already. And I also put on the side the different army-specific token, such as the ones you saw before with the BH Army.
And last but not least, you have on the right corner, bottom corner, basically the name of the unit. So also if you click on the spell or the veil token or the flux, you will be able to see which flux, which spell, which unit is it. And then if you click on the eye, you got the information with usually the build of the unit, so, or the description of the spell. We'll show you now everything in the live demo, and we hope that this one pager will help you during the game. But I think with the help of the live demo, you should be able to start very quickly with Ubi. Okay guys, we are ready for the live demo. So here I just entered Ubi, and now I will enter the room with Mike to make the live demo. So here you see I just selected the room he gave me, and now I join the room, and here Mike will be able to he gave me the full permission to play. So here I can see we are both playing. Okay, now we'll load our respective army. So I go here, I have all my save, and I will just choose load, Ogre Kingdom, and here basically I'm ready to play. So here you have my army and Mike's army. What can happen, because to prepare that, I went before in a new room, I created a new room, and then I generated every of my units, and then I saved it under a slot. So here the slot OK, to have this template ready. Mike did the same for his army. What can happen if you both save in the same part of the board, then the unit will be over each other, but then you should be able to move them quickly because I cannot select Mike's unit. So if I select mine, I will be able to move my entire army. So here, for example, if I want to move all my unit, I just have to select them and then I am able quickly to move my entire army. Here you see on the left, I have all my flux cards, spells ready, as well Potion of Strength, Binding Scroll, Trap for the trappers, every kind of tool I should need. Here some markers to mark the corner of the unit, some wound marker. I use this kind of stuff to mark as well which unit is shooting or on which unit. And if you cast a spell, maybe I can show something. If I want to cast Hand of Even on one of Mike's unit, I will just put the marker on his unit and then throw some dice, and Mike will immediately know what I'm doing. But first of all, maybe Mike, we can show how to load a map. I will do it, then you people can see how it works. So I go under the train, I go on the load, then the search function. I'm just writing down 2.1.4 because that's the last version of the map pack, and I'm just searching for a map. What we usually do when we play a game, we throw a D10 dice because there are 10 maps in this version, and then we'll see the results. So let's say that we roll a 3 on the dice, so I will load 3, it's Frontline Clash, and here the map will be immediately loaded. Now I will just lock the map to avoid me moving any piece of train. So yeah, lock the map. Okay, here we are ready with the map. And now if you want to deploy anything, I will just use, for example, here we have a Frontline Clash. So I will take a 12-inch ruler. Mike will do the same. Let's say first we roll for side. I roll, Mike can do as well. I roll the 2 and Mike roll the 3, so he can choose side. So
maybe if I can add something is this feature that you mentioned before, the saving army listing. That's a very it has different advantages. So you can basically load this army like you do, but you can load several kind of things. For example, as we were going to deploy a Frontline Clash, sometimes you can imagine that other deployments are a little bit more complicated, right? So what I have prepared a map with already rulers on it, so you can already see the deployment zones for each type of deployment. So for example, if I want to load I don't know, Encircle, which could be a more complicated map to load, I can load it like this. So this is basically, it covers a lot of different type of deployments. It's already loaded. My opponent can see that the metrics are okay. I've added 24-inch rulers to see that all the rulers are placed at the correct position. And then if you say, I just want to do the counter thrust or something else, you just remove the rulers you don't need, and it's all ready to go. So that's also a cool feature. It took me 10 minutes to do, but it's very
Mike,
it saved me more time.
Maybe can you tell us how we could use your already prepared rulers for deployment? Is it possible that I just load them, or do I have to do it myself?
I can make them. Right now you cannot search for them and just load them, but I think I could make them available. I need to figure out how. Okay. Well, if in a few weeks you just write Kumi, I have all my army names with Kumi at the end, you'll probably find deployment Kumi and see those rulers.
Okay, we'll see. Thanks. So here, let's say that you chose the site. Maybe we can show quickly how to use it.
Let's say for example, this is just for show the big rulers, right? So we don't need them. We could basically remove them like this. I could then select my army, which will also select the other rulers, but it doesn't matter for the show. So let's say I have to deploy top because you chose bottom. So I'll just select part of my army here, or all of it, obviously, and turn it upside down, like so. And then just drag it here, and then start deploying, depending on the deployment, like here, and here, and here, unit by unit, the way I want it. So that is one way to go. So if I started the full deployment here, I have a classic UB problem is that when you have rulers all over the place, which is in this case, you need to clean it up a little bit at the beginning so that your armies do not overlap with the rulers, allowing you to select the armies without the ruler. The ruler is a very, very useful feature. As Matt mentioned earlier, you can select the size of the ruler like this. I'm moving the ruler to the appropriate length. And once I have done that, I can select all the units in my army normally, which is not the case here. Still doesn't work. Just remove this one. Here. Okay, and then I have all my army turned upside down and ready to play, roughly.
Okay, here I will show you some other function. For example, the one we spoke before, line of sight. So if I take here my general, I'm able here to see the front, and here each circle is 1 inch, representing 1 inch. So here, for example, between me and the cannon, I can see very quickly it's a 6 inch. Between me and, I don't know, this unit, it's 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10 inch. Also for spell, for example, I can go here. Okay, I want to have 24, so from the abomination here I can see it's the fourth circle here in blue, in light blue. Here I can see I'm within 24, so 6, 12, 18, 24. So it's really, really helpful to use it quickly. And I will show you again the feature, how to do a wheel pivot. So here it's basically reforming on the center. Here we have the angle, so basically if I do something, I see the angle moving from my unit. If I want to pivot to the left, I can just do like this. I see as well how many inch I am using to make the pivot, and if I do it here, it's written on the left, 1 inch. So my opponent can also see what did I do. And if I want to pivot the opposite direction, I can just do 1 inch. And here, for example, if I want to move in a straight line, I can just lock here with this logo and then move straight, which is very useful. And you will see the difference if I don't lock it, basically. Then by moving, I will be not 100% straight. So I will be going slightly to the left, so which is not what I want to do. So that's basically it. To use the corner, basically I just put it at the corner of my unit, and then if I move it and oh no, I made something wrong, I cannot use the undo button because I made something with the ruler, then I can always know where was my position and put it back. That's something very useful. Showing you again the spell. So as we said before, if I want to cast Smite the Unbeliever, I will just put it on the unit, then throw 3 dice, just say boosted version, boosted, and then I cast 3 dice, so Mike know that I'm casting the boosted version. And because I have a Wizard Master, I will just say it's 12 plus 3 plus 1, so it's 16. I will just say 16, and Mike will write down in the chat in if he doesn't want to dispel it, or he will try to throw some dice if he wants to dispel it. And here I will be able to see that he does exactly a 14, not enough. So the spell, I will say, still in, and Mike knows that the spell is casted, so I will just keep it behind the unit. If, for example, I casted this turn Wrath of God, and I want to generate a new spell, I can always, let me show you. I can always load new parts. So here basically you have all my ogre units. And if I just want to generate something, I go on the magic, and here I'm able to basically choose the Wrath of God. Basically click first set as default, and now I have here all my spells, and here I can click Wrath of God and place it. So I will be able to have a second one for the next time. And if we want to do some kind of reform, for example, I want to go from 1 wide to 3 wide, I can do the same as before. Again, I have to choose my ogre, set as default, and then I will select the tribesman unit, which is these guys, 3 wide, standard, place it, and that's it. I go in the middle to do proper reform. If I'm not sure, I can zoom in by using this tool. So you can see you can be really precise, and when I'm happy about my reform, I can just take out this unit and delete it. So that's really something helpful. For example, if I want to add the mage to this unit, okay, I have 3 guys, I want to add the mage in this unit, so I have to load a new army, so I will, to load a new unit, sorry, then basically I will, what I do usually, I put the mage to mark the position of the unit, then I kill the unit, I put back the new unit, and I had only 3 models, so I need to kill some of them. I need only to keep 1 in the back and to delete the guy from the front, so this guy. And now I will be able to add the shaman in the unit by doing like this. Try to be proper, link it, link. And now I can just move the unit and the mage is coming with me. And if I don't link it, I can move the mage alone and then the unit alone. Okay, Mike, you have anything else to show us?
I think it's important to add regarding the footprint that if you take the pendulum and plague guys that I've put here in the middle, you can see that if 10 of them die, so I'm just going to select 10 of them and kill them, the last 2 ranks, I have this shaped unit, and if I want to pivot on my center, the software will take into consideration not the amount of models that are right now around the pendulum or the shape of the actual shape of the unit, but the footprint I have generated. So when I will pivot like this on my center, it will not pivot exactly on the center of the models, but on the center of the unit, which needs to be taken into consideration, because right now I have gained some inch basically by turning around like so, right? Because my center should be here where I put the H, but the software considers it to be here where the footprint is delimited. So that's also to be taken
yeah, basically you have 2
consideration.
solutions for this. Either you generate a new unit with the correct number of rank, or you just put a cross in the middle so that you can remember where was the center, and then you can just pivot like Mike did before, and you adjust to still be in the center. That's the 2 options you have. Depend on what you prefer, but both work to solve this issue. But yeah, please be aware of it. For example, here, if I would just leave the unit with the shaman, I would generate a new unit, because then if moving, I can have some issue because of the old footprint actually.
I think we covered most of the worth mentioning points.
I have maybe
here.
a last thing I just thought about it. If we are playing, for example, King of the Hill, and I want to show that I selected this piece of terrain as terrain to defend, I would just go, what I use usually is the old classic horse. I would just generate a horse and put it in the forest, so Mike knows that's my objective to defend, and then again I can just lock the terrain, and then the horse will not be moving, which is an advantage, because if you just put a symbol within, then the symbol will move when you select it, but the horse doesn't. So that's something very useful. So guys, I think you have everything you need to play in UB. So if you want to play some game during this special period, just use it. As we said before, last thing I'm thinking right now, if I want to shoot with my hunter on some unit, what I usually do is like this. Then it's straight, it's clear for Mike that I'm shooting with my weapon on the unit. And if it's not clear for him, I'm saying, so I have like 2+ aim, quick to fire, 12, and then sometimes Mike is asking, we can speak a bit about the language, but sometimes Mike will be asking what's the strength, so I will saying, okay, strength 6, AP 3, and then Mike will be rolling an armor save and saying maybe 1 wound. That's how we communicate. A lot of people are as well using Discord or other apps like Skype to talk during the game. It's also possible, depending on how you like it. I like to write down personally, because I think it's more a better way to play the game, because you don't speak that much and then you can play faster, but you can speak as well. I mean, it's also very convenient if you are playing with friends, you can speak and just play a casual game. So yeah, maybe the last word, just keep in mind the fact that it's UB. And I mean, if my intention was to go out of arc, and it's obvious for Mike that I was trying to go out of arc of a particular unit, but I just missed by, I don't know, 0.1, just try to discuss it together and say, oh, my intention was to go out of arc. I mean, it was obvious, fine for you. And what I usually do, we just correct the position, and we are here to play a good game and to play together. So keep in mind that's no big competition. I mean, we are all here to practice a bit. So try to be as convenient as possible and try to play a friendly game and communicate with your opponent. And here, Mike, you showed us some example of magic and so on. Huh?
Yeah, so it's the same tool that I loaded the different rulers for the deployment before, except I created one for magic. So here, when I create an army list, I load my army. I also load automatically all the spells that I could need. So these are all the magic spells. And I just select the ones I want, and I put it on the side, like you can see on the side of the table. And yeah, that's ready to go. That's one of the different useful tools. Another one is the wound tokens. So I created an infinite pool of tokens. So one day I took the 30 minutes and I had an infinite amount of tokens, maybe not 30 minutes, but quite a bit of time. And you can see in the bottom right corner of the screen, I have markers for angles. Here I move them usually in impassable terrain. So here in this case in the rune, so it's never moved. And I just pick as many wound token as I want, just to have them at hand and not take too much space.
I would be curious to know, Mike, how much time you took to create the unlimited number of wounds. And how many of them you have. I mean, that could be an interesting video as well to show how many skulls you created.
Yeah, I'm going as fast as I can, but I have a lot, as you can see.
You have sometimes to lose sometimes. Okay, guys, yeah. I mean, that's everything. Mike, thanks a lot. That was really interesting. I hope, guys, that helps you to play. And as we said before, the one-pager Mike prepared is available in the description, so use it if you need it.
Thanks a lot, Matt. That was, I hope, useful for all of you guys. And, well, I hope to see you on your base.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. We just noticed with Mike that we forgot to show you a last feature. A very useful one is just to show the charges you intend to make. You can use this button on the special. You have here the draw function. So if you click on it, you will be able then to draw. I just need to lock first the map to avoid this happening. Okay, now the map is locked. Now I can draw. So if I click on draw, I'm able to draw the charges I intend to make. So that's something really useful. Just be careful if you write it down. Now I want to check something, I need to unclick, and now I'm able to check some other features. And then after this, my opponent can always declare its reaction, and then when we are okay, I can always check the distance and say, okay, for him to go here, it's 14. So I say, okay, 14, 7, Swift Ride, okay, say yes, and then I can throw the dice. And when I've done all my charges, I can always clear everything that has been written with this button. And now that's it. That's very useful to do during the charge phase. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for having seen this video. I hope it helps you to start with UB. And yeah, see you soon on my channel. Bye.